That time again, time for some real talk about real issues to enhance your real life. Whatever you think, whatever you know, whatever you feel, Tanya doesn't mind talking about it. Get ready for some real talk that is always rated R, because Talk with Tanya has got to be relevant. Talk with Tanya has got to be refreshing. But most importantly, Talk with Tanya has got to be real. Tune in right now for Real Talk with Tanya White.
Hello, and welcome once again to the Real Talk with Tanya White show. Listen, we're going to get right into it because, I had to bring my girl back. Attica Scott, the conversation is, what the hell is Trump doing? And we're going to talk about, I don't even think it's been 60 days.
No,
and he's been coming here. It's worse than the first. We said that last year. It's worse than the first. So welcome. I don't know how many times she's been on here, but she is my own personal political commentary, prophet, insight to what's going on really in politics and everything else. Welcome, Honorable
Peace,
Attica.
Queen. Hey, beautiful. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Oh, no, thank you for coming. Now, Attica, before we get into it, some people, this may be their first time listening to this show. We need to tell them who you are and why you are the woman to talk about what the hell is Trump doing.
All right now. Well, listen, y'all, I am a former state representative. I ran for Congress as well. So I pay close attention to what's happening at every level, local, state, and federal. And I've been rocking with the Tanya White for years and the Real Talk with Tanya White. So every time she extends the invitation to come and drop some political knowledge, I'm there. So thank you again, Queen, for the invite.
Thank you, Queen, for coming. Now, listen, Attica, we already have seen and witnessed the first administration of DT.
Mm-hmm.
We already knew what the sequel was going to be like. But did you ever think that it was going to be this chaotic this soon?
Good question. Listen, I call him the Orange Terror because that's exactly what he is a terror. And I did not think it would be this quick, right? Like not within the first 100 days. I thought he might take the first 100 days to do some level setting, something. He said, no, we're going to destroy this country immediately.
And destruction is what is on his mind. Before we get into the specifics, you are a world traveler. You come into contact with people all over this globe. Mm-hmm. We know that there's some embarrassment with even the second election. The first, they probably say, yeah, they know what they're doing, but deliberately the second. Mm-hmm. What if you could get into the minds of, if you was in another country, what are they saying about us?
Well, Tanya, I don't even have to get into the minds. I don't have to pretend. I was in Panama for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and I can tell you Panamanians are disgusted with the Orange Terror. The fact that he was threatening to take the Panama Canal by force, they were like, how dare he? And of course, as a Black woman coming from the United States, they weren't upset with me, right? They didn't see any reason why I should be embarrassed because they knew good well I'm part of the 92%. So I didn't cast my vote for the terror, but they were absolutely disgusted with him and his threat to their country.
And threats, bullying, just really, he is showing us, when your grandmama, your mama said, don't show your butt. Yes. He is showing every last morsel of it and does not care. Does not care. Even with isn't an appointment, Elon Musk, everything that's going on, Doge, it is absolutely ridiculous. Yes. So let's start with his vice president.
Okay.
Who has been out of line as a vice president. Normally is not. But it all starts with the head. So he's been given permission to do whatever. Your take on JD?
You mean the person who, when they were in Kentucky, couldn't even grow tomatoes in Kentucky, an agricultural state? You mean that VP? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he's already made it clear that he's a failure. And that's exactly what he's showing us. And then having the nerve to go to another country and speak ill about our relationships with our global partners, as if that is not going to have a ramification on this country. And then to try to use his wife as an excuse for why he has the wherewithal to badmouth and bash our partners across the globe. That is not leadership. That is not someone that we should have as the VP, but he is trying to prime himself to run for president in the next 4 years.
Oh, absolutely. Prime himself. And really, he has gotten the go-ahead to act a complete idiot and fool as much as possible. Let's go back to more recently with President Zelensky, and when they are in the Oval Office, and how the conversation started out with clothing, and really that was what they did.
Mm-hmm.
JD, I wanted to get my switch off the tree,
mm-hmm.
and give him a spanking, because it's like, you are, first of all, you're not in your lane.
Mm-hmm.
You're out of order.
Mm-hmm.
You're not talking about anything that's going to move our country forward.
Right.
What was that whole incident really about, from your political expertise? It was like, am I really watching this from the Oval Office, 1600 Pennsylvania, where our commander-in-chief and assistant, everybody was in there. Debacle.
You mean the White House, where they are now removing Black Lives Matter from the street that you can walk to from the White House? That White House, yes.
That White House.
Absolutely. So you mean to tell me a man whose country is at war needs to be concerned with what he wears to the White House versus making sure that his people have food and shelter and medical care and safety? Your priority is what you wear to the White House? Give me a break. You know, I grew up with people saying you can slap lipstick on a pig, but that does not make the pig look any more better than it looked before. So no, we don't need to be concerned with what someone is wearing to the White House, except with the first presidency. Of course, we had to be concerned with the white woman having her nasty feet up on the couch when the HBCUs came to visit. But that's another story. That's the first administration. We're speaking of this one right now.
It was very much, and empathy is putting yourself in the other person's shoes. I think most sane people put themselves in President Zelensky's shoes. Coming to a country who he thought was going to help, give sound advice, but to be belittled, bashed for something that was really not what he was there for.
That's right.
As a leader, and somebody wrote a book that is experienced that.
That's right.
I see it. As a leader and a Black woman, let's just get there. As a Black woman, we've been in situations like that before, belittled, degraded on things that are not even the point.
Yes.
If President Zelensky called you Honorable Attica Scott, seeking wisdom for how to bounce back, hold his head up, and not hold resentment, so that he can do what he's called to do, what advice would you give him?
I would absolutely say to him that the world leaders stand with him, right? That we stand with Ukraine, and that it is important for us to show up in ways that we can to make sure that, as I said, people are healthy and safe, have shelter, have food, have medical care, have access to education. That is what you do as a world leader. That is what you do as a global leader. But instead, like you said, it was a belittling, right? It's trying to humiliate him, right? Trying to humble him. And you and I know, you wrote the book, Professionally Lynched. We know what it's like to be in that kind of setting. I know what it's like to be an elected official and have people ask if I was going to cut my locks, right? As if having locks has something to do with my ability to stand up for justice and to fight for good public policy.
Yes. And so thank you for that. So President Zelensky, you may not be listening, but we we are with you. We, as Black women, we've been in there sadly, and probably are in that same situation. So let's get to Trump. What you call him, Attica?
The Orange Terror.
The Orange Terror.
Mm-hmm.
Let's so much we can talk about, but let's most recently where I was like disgusted in watching was the state of the disunion of these United States.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I say disgusted, I am very much, I love politics, history, everything. I love and I respect the offices, but that was something surreal to me to watch that. I did not grow up in the area of segregation to see what really our country and how divided it was, but to see this, and I've told people, it's like, okay, I've always wondered what that movement was like, but I'm living in it right now.
That's right.
So the state of the disunion, first of all, I'm looking at the TV and it is visible division. Like you could see the elephant in that room. Could you not?
Yes, absolutely.
So I didn't watch the beginning. Tell me did you watch it, Attica?
Of course not. No, ma'am.
But you've seen the highlights.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Let's start with the why you didn't watch it.
Of course, absolutely. So as a state representative, I refuse to attend the governor's addresses to the legislature because I was not going to feed into something that I knew was full of vitriol and hatred. So I could not understand why the Democratic Party, a party I choose to be a part of, would even show up. You know, wearing some cute little jackets, colorful jackets, is not activism. That is not protest, right? You still showed up and gave him an audience. So you should not have showed up in the first place. And then when Rep. Green was removed, you should have got your butt up and walked out as well. Every single one of the Democrats should have gotten up and walked out. But that's when you lack a backbone, right? And you lack political will. So that's exactly what we saw. But that's not what you asked me about. You asked me about.
No, well, let's talk about that, because we're hearing this conversation. Democrats, what are you doing? You know, Democrats, where's the voice?
Yes.
And there's some scattered voices, and of course the black woman's voice, my soror, Jasmine Crockett. That's really truthful, but we don't get enough of time with what she's really dealing with in the other one.
Yes.
So what is it as a Democrat, and I'm looking at this and looking at Pelosi almost crying, looking at Elizabeth Warren, it's like disbelief, and I'm like, why aren't y'all doing something?
Right.
Tell me, Attica, what is it going to take?
Well, first of all, they need to follow the leadership of people like Congresswoman Crockett, because Congresswoman Crockett is the true voice of the people, and she is showing us what leadership looks like in this moment that we find ourselves in. So they need to follow her leadership instead of it constantly being about following the leadership of people who've been there so long that they don't know anything else to do. Yeah, and that's part of the problem. They've been there so long, they don't know what else to do except to show up when they're called by the Orange Terror to his speech to the nation. Why would you even show up? So, and then to sit there while he spat in your face.
Did he not?
Yes, he
literally at one point he said, these people.
Yes.
These
And then
people, and pointed.
And said they won't even clap and they won't even smile. Now, how many times have we as women been told to smile? And y'all just sat there thinking your cute little colorful jackets was a statement.
And don't forget the paddles.
Oh, and the paddles. Yes. No, we are beyond that. We've been long beyond that. And you got to step it up and do much more than that. When somebody spits in your face, when they attack everything related to equity, fairness, and justice, you don't just sit there and take it. Absolutely not. You get up and walk. You don't need to escort me out. I'm going to get up and walk out.
Yes. And I dare not say, I'm like you, I wouldn't have gone. Exactly. I wouldn't have gone because you already know what it's going to be. And because you showed up, you gave him an audience to do what he wanted to do.
Yes.
Now imagine if none of the Democrats showed up, and some Republicans who would disagree with them, if they had the backbone, how would he look? Because he's all about how everything looks.
Yes.
How much power would that be? And for that to happen, I mean, to the point where everything he was saying was false, of course. Trying to turn it into what he's doing great.
Yes.
To the point where he said there will be no more wokeness. We don't know what that means.
Yes.
You just should have said the N-word. Okay? You just should have said that. N-word, the whatever words for any other marginalized group. You just should have said that.
Yes.
And I want to get back to where he said they wouldn't even stand, because I noticed up in the whatever they call it, the balcony where his family was, his better half.
Yeah, the gallery. Stood. Yes.
Never stood. So you are criticizing a whole group for doing something that even your wife did not do for you.
Yes.
What is that? What is wrong?
Well, part of it is the Democratic Party has allowed itself to be the punching bag of the Orange Terror. When you allow yourself to be the punching bag, then that is exactly what happens. You cannot allow yourself to be his punching bag, because if you do, then he will disrespect you. He will treat you like crap. He will ignore you when he chooses to ignore you, and you will have no influence or power.
And that is point blank to the period.
Yes.
Now that you know that, how can we turn this around? Because this is utterly not what our country was built on. The movements of all kinds were built on. Every marginalized group, every civil rights movement and things that were accomplished, he said basically that's about to go.
Yes.
And all through executive orders. Explain that to us, how he can just sign away, basically moving to the point where he's even saying, Congress, Senate, I don't need nothing. I don't need to listen to nothing you all say.
Yes.
How do executive orders work?
And I'm going to have to plug in my laptop. I was not prepared. So
that's okay. Let's plug it in.
Okay. I have to go get it.
Okay. We go as you go, we're gonna thank our sponsors.
Okay.
And we're gonna thank Miss LaTanya Renee Banks of Derby City Medical Partners, and for sponsoring us this month. If you are in need of a primary care clinic and physician, and you are in the Louisville or Southern Indiana area, please reach out to Derby City Medical Partners. LaTanya Renee Banks and her partners are willing and waiting for you to come to get the services you need, especially if you are the Black and Brown group. That is the group that they're catering for. They advocate for everybody, but particularly Black and Brown people. They want you to be heard. They want to do thorough assessments and get diagnosed, and they want to be in communication with you. So Derby City Medical Partners, thank you, LaTanya Renee Banks, for being a sponsor for this month. And if you want to be a sponsor of the Real Talk with Tanya White show, please give me a call at 502-509-6053. Now we're still talking to the Honorable Attica Scott, and we're talking about what the hell is Trump doing. It's worse than the first. I'm gonna get me a t-shirt. It is worse than the first. Before we did our sponsorship, I forgot what I was asking.
No, I remember what you were asking me.
Go ahead.
And I will say this for everyone who's tuning in. This is real life. So, I work a full-time job, as does Tanya. And so things happen. The laptop was much lower than I thought. So this is real life, y'all. I also work in an organization that is fighting the power, that is trying to show up every single day for folks and make sure that we have issues like our voting rights and we have access to the ballot and so many other issues. So, and we know what it's like to be directly impacted by this orange terror. So you'd ask me, what can we do? in this moment. And Tanya, there's a lot that we can do. One is, I truly mean it when I said that we need to follow the leadership of people like Congresswoman Crockett, because she is showing us exactly who we need to be in this time as a leader, that you don't kowtow to, you don't bow down to the Orange Terror simply because he is president. You know, many people are elected who should not be elected, and he is one of them, right? Just because you have more money, just because you have more people willing to side with the ridiculousness, does not mean that you should be in office, right?
Well,
so that's
and this second one's cause, again, he won first because of a woman, second cause of a Black woman. So let's just say our country, although we're ready for it,
yes,
we're ready. Other countries have women elected as the head of their country. We've been far ready for it.
Yes.
But the patriarch, traditional good old boys club said absolutely not.
Well.
And we talking about slap in the face. Now, the first time Hillary Rodham Clinton, if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't know President Bill Clinton. I love me some Clinton, but she was from a little girl, knowing that. And for her to lose to that unqualified, you could say what you want about her, but she was qualified. He was not, and he still ain't. Then we got, to beat him. What did we get? The good old boys establishment. Although we knew that was, was not the best choice for the Democrats. Now didn't we have 8 years to groom somebody? For the next, I think we did, Democrats. Okay, we had 8 years to groom somebody.
We had somebody. We didn't need to groom somebody. We had somebody.
Listen, and that's a whole nother story. Listen, but because, and this is Women's History Month.
Yes, it is.
You will take an unqualified male over an overqualified, credentialed, demonstrated results woman, her African American, Caucasian. We ain't even ready for a Hispanic, Asian, but we will take that over the least qualified, least qualified, let alone inhumane individual.
Yes.
To lead a country just because we didn't want a female.
That's right.
Why are we still in this type of society, Honorable Attica Scott?
We know why we are right here where we are. Institutional and systemic racism, racist mindsets, sexist mindsets, all of it has conspired to get us where we are today. And so to respond to your question about what do we do now that we are here, I want to shout out the Black women who have said, you know what, y'all got this, white people. Because we've had it for a long time. And now it's time for us to drink our water, to do our 30 minutes of walking every day, right? And to take care of ourselves and live our soft lives, because we have fought the power for decades. And some of you watched. You watched, right? And now you are feeling the weight of what it means to live in an authoritarian society, to live in a patriarchal society, to live in a society steeped in capitalism. And so we're stepping back, and we deserve to step back. And I encourage us to continue to step back because we have given what we need to give. I will also say that the fights have to happen at the local and state level, Tanya. So when Kentucky is trying to have its Office of Government Efficiency, its code, not DOGE, but code, we need to be fighting back. When Louisville is trying not to have a consent decree, we need to be fighting back. There is work that we have to do at the local and state level to make the change that needs to be made.
Local, state, and it starts in the not only at the local level, but starts in organizations.
Yes, it does.
Law enforcement, education. Let me. I need y'all to see this. Let me unblur it. Let me take my virtual background off.
Professionally lynched. Yes.
Yeah. Let's just
there
do
it
that.
is. That's
there
it.
It is. Right here. Because this Black girl right here knows what what is happening. And I love what you said. Sit back and let the weight be felt.
And I need you to point out something right there. Put the book back up there for me, please. I hope people see the ED at the end. Right? Right? Because we're talking about education. And while the orange terror is trying to destroy the educational system, we got to make sure that our kids don't suffer under the weight of that.
Our kids. He's just trying to dismantle the whole Department of Education.
Yeah.
And who does that? Somebody who wants to control everything and not have people educated. We're already struggling. We're already struggling in that industry. But when you say, I don't need, and you put incompetent people in places, in positions, just to mimic what your heart is, and you don't have a heart for the people, we are in a time. And I love what you said. Let's just sit back, because sometimes you just got to say, okay, I've been telling you this,
right?
But you thought I was the angry Black woman. You thought that I was just everything is not about race and gender. No, it's not. It's about humanity.
That's right.
So I love what you said. Just sit back and because that's what it is. And when I saw, and this just brings me back to watching the State of the Disunion, seeing Pelosi, seeing Elizabeth Warren, like y'all speechless. Okay.
Yes.
But Stacey's, Jasmine, Maxine. Let's go back to Carol Moseley Braun.
Well,
the first African American woman elected into Senate. Let's go back to Vice President Kamala Harris when she was elected.
Yes. Can we talk about Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who was the only person to vote against the USA Patriot Act after 9/11? The only person. And then we found out after it passed that it was going to hurt us, not help us. Black woman.
Yeah, the Black woman.
Yes.
But you're doing too much. Won't you sit back? Won't you just follow the system? Okay, the same system that's now telling you, even his voters, it's like, oh, you didn't think this was going to happen? Make America great again. What do you think was going to happen?
Listen, I don't want to see your tears. I'm not concerned about you crying over the price of eggs. I don't want to hear it, because we told you exactly what was going to happen. You knew what was going to happen, but you thought it was only going to happen to us. Right? It's just going to happen to them, the Black people, right? It's just going to happen to the people in the urban areas. That's what you thought. And now it's happening to you, and you feel it. Now you regret. I regret my vote.
Yeah, but it's a very quiet silence. And I know you're saying, what's a quiet silence? It's very quiet.
Yes.
Those who voted against, who will regret it, are not speaking up. It's a quietness, a quiet silence.
They're just over there crying on TikTok.
Trying to be woke.
Right.
But yes, and so not much is being said. Now let's talk about our babies.
Okay.
Now had a interesting conversation with someone who is kind of agitated about an educator embracing as a part of an assignment, making them watch the State of the Disunion. And then the questions that they had to answer. Now, these are minorities. Most of the class is Black and brown. Now, you can imagine what race the teacher is, right? So as when I'm listening to this and seeing my Black and brown students and putting myself in that position, I had to wonder why an educator would subject their class, who is majority Black and brown. Now, understand it was a social studies class, okay? But the commander in chief
Mm-hmm.
is totally against the
Mm.
majority of your class,
Yes.
and you are subjecting them
Mm-hmm.
to watch a man who hates
Yes.
this group that you're
Yes.
teaching. Not only are you making them watch it, you're making them answer questions and gave them a transcript of the speech as a reference. Now, Honorable Attica Scott, if your daughter came home and said this to you, okay, what would your next steps be?
Tanya, I believe you know my daughter, and you know her well enough to know. First of all, she wouldn't have watched. She would have said, "I'm not doing that assignment." First of all, and then she would have came to me and said, "Mom, I'm not doing this assignment. Can you write a note to the teacher?" I'd have done more than write a note to the teacher. I'd went up to the school. So this is emotional trauma.
Oh, come on.
It's mental trauma.
Uh-huh.
You are demanding of students whose families are under attack by ICE raids
Uh-huh.
to watch someone who hates their very existence.
Hates their very existence.
Yes, you are wanting Black students who are going to listen to an orange terror who has said he wants no more consent decrees to hold police accountable. You're going to force them to watch that. To watch someone who says blatantly that we're not going to stand up anymore for LGBTQIA plus folks. Said it out loud.
At the State of Disunion.
No, and I got to say this, Tanya. It wasn't even the State of the Union. That doesn't come until next year. That was his address to the country. You didn't have to watch that. It wasn't even a State of the Union. That doesn't come until 2026. So why are you forcing these babies to watch that mess?
I just wanted another because I know being not only an educator, I am sensitive to all. But if I was a student in that class, the student in me, because the authority said this was what we had to do, it was a part of the grade. I would have complied in class, but I sure enough would have told my mama and my daddy.
Yes.
I'll show enough because I would have been so upset. Upset. And so as this is spewing out from, and that's what I'm getting to, from 1600 Avenue, there's going to be a lot more of things such as this.
Yes.
Not only in the schools, but in the workplace.
Yes.
We're going to see a lot of churches that are already segregated, but have, you see what I'm saying, but have diversity. What is going to be the teaching? What I mean,
and you know, 11 o'clock remains the most segregated hour in the United
most
States.
Segregated
11
hour.
o'clock on Sunday, 11 a.m.
on Sunday. And what we're going to start seeing is people are not going to do lives anymore because they're going to speak who they truly are, based on what you call them?
Orange terror. The orange
terror.
Yes.
Giving people who already felt that way. Don't get it twisted. They felt this way. Okay. That's why we had to have certain movements.
Yes.
But trust me, it's going to come out the woodwork, is it not?
Yes. And Tanya, think about it. This is an example of why in Kentucky, they want to lower the age to carry a concealed weapon from 21 to 18. They are preparing their kids for war against us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is it's just scary times. Yes. And we need leadership with backbones. We need for people to speak up at the local, state level, in your workplace, in your schools, in your churches, in your communities, at the store, that we're not going to make America what it was.
That's right.
Attica. Now, at our local level, when we talk directly to Louisville, Kentucky, we already said, listen, we already know what listen, We see it.
Yes.
What is our next move for saying we're not doing this, Louisville, Kentucky? We're not doing this.
That's right. Well, we got to start at the hyper local level. You talked about education. We are in the midst of a search for a new superintendent of our Jefferson County public school systems. We need to be all hands on deck for that search to make sure we get the best, most qualified person in that position who is going to stand up for and protect our babies in the school system, who's going to stand up to those bigots in our state capital and say no to everything they're trying to do to destroy our school system, right? So that's what we need to do first and foremost, is make sure we're involved in that search process. We need to make sure that we are showing up to school board meetings, that we are showing up to Metro Council meetings, our local council, because we need to follow what's happening there with housing, with them trying to wipe away people who are houseless, with issues related to social services and making sure our social services are getting the support and funding that they need, rather than in continued increases to the police budget, right? No, what we need is to make sure we're taking care of the services that people need every single day. So do that local work, y'all. Show up at the local level.
Show up. I mean, show up. If you show up for sports events, it was sold out this weekend or last weekend at the Yum Center.
Yes.
I love my cards. L's up all day.
Yes.
But we need to sell out the Yum Center for something that is going to prepare us to be a better city, state, and nation.
Yes.
Because we see that the executive orders are just taken, and that's an executive order. You know, he is not consulting anything in Congress about anything.
That's right.
So what he is doing this first 100 days, he is really setting the stage for what he wants in the remainder of things. He wants to be all in charge.
But you know why that is, Tanya? You do executive orders when you know that Congress isn't going to do your bidding.
Absolutely.
You do executive orders because you know you have at least enough opposition that all the crap you're trying to do is not going to pass Congress, right? The only thing he's actually taken to Congress is the budget. That's the only thing where he has taken to Mark Johnson and said, listen, this is what I want to see passed with this Congress. That's it. That's the only thing he's taken to them.
That's the only thing. But the media and the sound bites is like, this is what it's going to be. Okay. There is hope. We do need to continue to show up and not let this happen. It hasn't even been 60 days, y'all.
No, it hasn't.
And it feels like 6 years. Hasn't even been 60 days. He's got the people that he wants. Who is it? The White House secretary. She's just abomination.
He's got every single cabinet head that he wants.
And so who's going to lead what he wants and has his same heart? Leaders.
He has no heart, Tanya.
Yeah. That's there's zero heart. There's nothing. When your family cannot even muster up a genuine smile
Wow.
to at what you're doing, when you don't even acknowledge, I don't even think he acknowledged it. Maybe I missed it. He didn't acknowledge his family. Like I said, his wife was sitting down the whole time.
Yes.
So that's very much a representative of how he leads in his house. And I say this all the time. You lead the way you live.
Well.
And you live the way you lead. So that's how he lives. He is a bully. That's a for real bully.
Yes.
That's for real someone who's creating division. He's not holding anyone accountable. He wants everything to look good. And he cares nothing about the whole.
Right.
Whew. Let's talk about the Black woman.
Well, and just real quick, I was going to say, Tanya, for him, everything is a show. Everything is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That's what this is, right? It's a show.
It's a show.
Yeah.
Even listen, it's so much happening every day. We even didn't talk about Elon Musk's little son in the White House and
talking about you're not the president.
Yeah, and acting a fool, and nobody
Checks that little boy.
Yeah, checks the little boy. Because I'm sorry. If we that close, and I said that to one of my mama's friends, and camera or not, I'm being slapped in my mouth. And my mama probably ain't gonna say nothing. She probably gonna slap me too. But that was total disrespect.
Total disrespect. But he gave him what he gives. The man gives no respect, so he got no respect, even from a child.
And I said that, I was like, oh, he's heard that before.
Yes, he has.
That one from strictly from a baby. That child has heard that before, seen that before. And so there's so much going on. Let's talk about Black women, because you gave us a mandate. We gonna end on this note, because we really have been. Is at local, state, every day you show up at your job. You say you're a job, you have a full-time job, an advocate. Every woman, especially the Black woman, is showing up and being the light in a dark world. And it is time. Because there's nothing we can do or say right now, but take care of ourselves. And when it's time, we will know it's time to speak.
Yes.
But for the Stacey Abrams, Vice President Kamala Harris, Michelle LaVon Robinson Obama.
That's right.
Who is probably just saying, Lord, what? Come on, y'all.
She said, I told y'all don't go to his speech. She said, I told you. I haven't been to anything.
Listen, all of the women, and even the ones who are working, like Sora Jasmine Crockett, we're going to DC, the Deltas, and that's where our national convention is. We're gonna have work to do. I'm hoping they're planning some type of march, because by July we really gonna probably need it.
That's right.
But there's a remnant. There's a remnant who is still doing it, but we still need to take care, because I love what you said. We have been carrying the mantle. Yes. What advice would you give us, so as we take a beat, a rest, and regroup? Yes, because we're going to have to regroup, because this country is not what it is without the female voice. That's everything that women's rights and suffrage, everything was about, having that voice. Yes. What advice would you give us in this time of regrouping, resetting, and doing what we need to do?
Yes. Coretta Scott King once said, women, if the soul of this nation is to be saved, then you must become its soul. For us as Black women, that means more than showing up when any and everybody calls a march or a rally. We can, of course, organize our own, as you said, with your Soros. Yes, of course, absolutely. But what that means is that we must decide what is the path forward. And we must be the ones who people follow. And we must follow and support each other. From the soul of your city, of your state, and of this country, if you're willing to follow and support one another. No one else is going to do that if you won't do it.
Support one another. Look, we got 5 minutes extra. Let's talk about this support of each other. It's not a rah-rah, let's How do we show support for one another? You are in your role. Yes. I'm in my role. And look, we didn't even talk about the beat downs we take from our same gender and our same color, that question, do not trust, go above our head, act like we haven't earned the right to be where we are, and they show it daily in their action. And then when you have a conversation about it, it's like, what are you talking about? So tell us what that looks like. How do we show support?
Well, we're doing it right now, Tanya, because you use your platform to elevate the voices of Black women, and that is key. We have to elevate one another, right? So that's important, to show up for one another in that way. It's important that we make sure that we're checking on one another. How you doing, sis? How you doing, queen? Have you drank your water today, right? Did you get your 30 minutes of walking today? Are you taking care of yourself, right? Are you centering yourself, putting yourself, how's your family doing, right? Do you need, let's go out to eat, and I'm going to buy you lunch. I'm going to buy you dinner, because I I know you've been struggling, so I want to show up and support in whatever way that I can. If it's on the job, how can I show up and support you on the job? You got Councilwoman Parrish Wright on Louisville Metro Council trying to hold down the council. She's our Congresswoman Crockett, right? Trying to hold it down.
Yes.
Right. So we got to show up for her, right? We got to show up to council meetings for her. We got to support legislation that she's working on. I mean, that's what it means and what it looks like to support one another and to show up for one another. Sometimes it can be something as simple as, I'm going to share your post, Tanya. I saw you post something, I'm going to share it, right? So I can make sure that my folks who follow me see it, right? Those are ways in which we show up for and support one another. And we have to do more of that because we have enough folks throwing everything at us and attacking us. Why do we need to pile on? Why do we need to kick one another when we're down? Instead, y'all, let's come together and figure out how do we elevate and lift one another up, right?
And do it in a place of authenticity.
Yes.
No more of this, go sis, go. But I never feel comfortable enough to correct you when you're going to the side, or when I do, you get offended and create division and huffing and puffing. Yes, on the job, in church and family, at meetings. And so if you trust me when things are good,
yes,
why can't you trust me when I'm trying to help us, the team of we, make things even better? And so as humanity, we've got to stop being babyfied. I call it being babyfied. We got to put on our big girl pants, support one another, support hoes. Hey, when you put on the support hose, it's kind of tight.
You're right.
But it's tight, holding stuff in the right places.
Yes.
Some of us are your support hose. Okay. We're going to be tight around you because we know what you're facing, first of all.
Yes.
We know what we've been through. And we're trying to save you from stuff that we've already been through so you don't have to endure that. So stop crying when I say, hey, baby girl, come here, let me talk to you for a minute. You know what you said or what you're doing or how you showing up. You know, if you in this leadership position, I'm gonna need you to show up on time. And on time is meaning early. Because you're leading something. Okay. Come on now. We can't lead something and say it starts at 6:00 and be showing up at 6:00 getting stuff ready. That's not excellence, is it? Honorable Attica Scott.
Yes, and we have to remind ourselves of what excellence is and what it looks like, and we have to move in that way every single time, right? Because we are all, to this day, I was raised on this mantra, and it continues to exist, that we have to be 10 times better than everybody else. And it remains true, y'all. It remains true. We have to be 10 times. If you're supposed to be somewhere at 6, get there by 5 or 5:30 and have it set up so that when people walk through the door, it's already ready. And
you can collect your thoughts.
Well,
Kerry Washington said that on Scandal. Her papa said it on it. Jasmine Crockett said, look, she said, when I walk in the chambers, I already know I belong because I fought 10 times what I needed to get here. While you, Marjorie Green, you ain't having to endure anything. And ain't even qualified. Let's put that in the open. But you got a seat at the same table with me. And it took me blood, sweat, and tears. So I'm talking to especially women, but especially my sisters who are in position. And you may not be in that position, but you better support a sister, because I'm telling you now, it took Attica Scott to get where she was, blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes.
I stand in a director position.
Yes.
You read my book, it took me forever to get here. Forever. And it wasn't what I did wrong. It was everything I was doing right.
Yes.
But the system said, you doing too much, little girl. What you say, let's humble you. So when you see women standing in positions of authority, leadership, and they're doing their thing, stop being so babyfied.
Yes.
Join the fight. Listen. Sometimes you at the table and you dare not say a word because you ain't ready yet.
Well,
just listen.
That's right.
Watch.
That's right.
Volunteer. Listen again. Do some self-reflection and some self-evolution.
Yes.
And then ask questions. Stop thinking that you know everything or that you see what everybody's doing. Ooh, I can do that. No, you can't.
Yes. Yes. And
Attica,
stop thinking.
you've done in as the only Black,
Yes.
in
Yes.
the Kentucky State Legislature.
Yes. And stop thinking you need to tear down another Black woman to elevate yourself, because that is not how it works. You don't need to tear down another queen because you want to have a crown. There are enough crowns for all of us.
All of us. And we need all of us
Yes.
to help each other carry
That's
the crown. Attica Scott, you know you shall be back, because
Yes.
probably in another month or so.
Listen.
It ain't even been 100 days.
Not even. Worse
Lord
than
have
the
mercy.
first.
Worse than the first. Tell us what is up next for you, Attica Scott, and then leave us with some wisdom. And this is Women's Month, so
Yes, it is.
especially our Black women.
Yes.
That's all we know. We know our struggle.
Yes, we do. Yes.
So
we do.
what's next for you? And give us your contact information and leave us with some wisdom.
Absolutely. So I'm being contacted more and more by people who are interested in running for office. So I'm having those conversations with them, honest conversations about what it means, what it looks like, what it takes, because I want to make sure that we get that next generation of elected officials in office. So if you're interested, if you want to have a conversation, you can follow me on just about all the platforms, Attica Scott, KY, ATTICA SCOTTKY. And I will leave you with this for this Women's History Month, that we are queens, Black women, that we have everything working in our favor and aligned for us when we support one another. The only thing stopping us is us stopping us. So let's roll our shoulders back, lift our heads up high, and let's make sure that we're showing up and supporting one another.
And on that note, listen, Attica, y'all better get with Attica Scott. She's walked some roads that she's made easier for you to walk when you're running for office. Even if you're thinking about running in 5-10 years, get with her now, because 5 or 10 years is going to be here before you know it. And what you need to do, you need to start doing now. Attica, thank you for being the truth.
Thank you, Queen.
A light, a fighter, an advocate, so much, a sister. Listen, sometimes I gotta say, where's my aunt? And then I gotta check and see on y'all page, because y'all are in these Louisville streets together.
Yes.
Making things happen, bringing change. But Attica, we didn't even get to that. But when I bring you on next time, we're gonna talk about Mitch. He finally leaving. Listen.
Let's talk about it.
We're gonna have to talk about it, because we need a change. And oh boy, we gonna talk about it.
Yes,
but Attica, thank you so much. Until next time, you guys. Thank you to Derby City Medical Partners for your sponsorship. Listen to this, share this, reflect on this. Stay in the know. Do what you can at your state, local, and on your job, in your church, in your community. Show up, speak up, and then learn and do what needs to do, because we need you. Real talk until next time. Remember to love your life, live your life, and laugh through your life. All right. I love you guys. Bye-bye.